months earlier, on March 7th.
Good morning. So, today's video is about why I fast. And then I'm hoping by the end of the video, you will want to fast as well. So why do I fast? Why is this whole intermittent fasting becoming such a popular thing? Well, I have my personal reasons. I have the benefits that I've seen from doing it. But there's something that is a little bit deeper, and there's reason why every human needs to fast. It goes back 10,000 years, back to biology. And see, that was my biology. I heard something walking, crinkling leaves, and immediately attention. Okay? That is an evolutionary trait passed down from our ancestors that lived in the wild as hunter-gatherers for hundreds of thousands of years. Okay? So fasting is fundamentally also something they gave us. Now, how did they give us fasting? Well, you see, our genes that we have today, the genes that make up my body, are the same genes that my ancestors had. Evolution is a very, very slow process. So the advent of agriculture created food ubiquity, which then had humans eating on a regular basis or eating at times when Mother Nature wouldn't have provided food. And so we basically have taken Mother Nature out of the equation when it comes to how often, what kinds, and how much of food we eat, whereas Mother Nature would have taken care of that for us back in the wild. Which is why, if you walk around in the forest for any period of time, you'll have a hard time finding food. You might find some mushrooms here and there, not sure if they're safe to eat. But you're not going to be finding food just sitting out on plates for you, right? That is why fundamentally the human being had to adapt to an environment where food was scarce at times and abundant at times. If you had a successful kill, the whole tribe would eat as much as possible. And then you would kind of go for a period of time, maybe snacking on leaves, twigs, and berries until you had another successful kill. Yet today, this whole 3 square meals a day, eating breakfast right when you wake up, all this nonsense, this creation of modern marketing and modern food capitalism is not in alignment with our genes, which is why you have things like a 60% obesity rate and even higher weight of overweight Americans. Not good, guys. It's an environmental mismatch. And one of the greatest ways that we can reduce the consumption of processed foods, one of the easiest ways to lose weight and control appetite is using intermittent fasting. Okay, so my schedule, as you saw in the morning, that was my morning routine. And I got my coffee. I didn't do a drink your fat today. Normally I would put butter in there and maybe some MCT oil. Today I'm doing just straight black hot coffee, and this will hold me over for I'll probably eat around 5 or 6 p.m. today. And I woke up at 12, so I'm getting a 6-hour fast in the morning. My last meal was around 9 p.m. yesterday, right? So I'm going to get a nice 16+ hour fast today because the last time I had calories was the day before. And that's my favorite method of fasting, is using the morning of no breakfast, because breakfast just doesn't agree with me. It never did. Yet I always used to eat it because everyone said that's the most important meal of the day, right? Well, breakfast might be the most important meal of the day, but when you break that fast, which is the actual definition of breakfast, when you break that fast is the most important thing, not right in the morning. So when you break the fast is the most important thing. And we've been led to believe that we need to wake up to a bowl of cereal, a bagel, or whatever nonsense, or we'll be tired and sluggish throughout the day. But for anyone who's done that for any period of time, when do you actually get tired? When do you actually get sluggish? It's usually 2 to 3 hours after you have that breakfast, right? Then you want to eat again. So that's kind of weird, isn't it? I used to do this thing. I used to struggle with myself. I would wake up, I would have no appetite. I'd force down some eggs and, some relatively clean food. And then I would go and I'd get like a Starbucks triple espresso or whatever. And in 2 hours, like clockwork, I'd have a headache and I'd want to take a nap. What's going on here, right? Your human body is a miracle machine. It wakes up. It has natural cortisol hormones going on in the morning to wake you up, right? And so when you introduce food to that, you kind of screw it up. You just complicate it. Your body's not designed to feel like crap. Your body is designed to feel great. Your body's designed to wake up, move around, hunt, forage, be social, have some sex, eat some food, a lot of leisure time, do a lot of movement, a lot of walking, and breaking your fast later in the day. That's what it's designed to do. And so the fundamental reason why I fast is because it makes me feel better. It helps me control my weight. If I'm going to cheat on something, it doesn't do as much damage. I usually fast afterwards to get a lot of those benefits. And I hope to be around a long time for my kids and then my grandkids. That's why I fast. And so today you're going to see a full day of intermittent fasting. How I go about day to day with all the enticing, delicious options we have here in Austin. How I go through the whole day without food. What do I do as far as my drinks? How many coffees am I getting? When do I get them? How do I mix it up? Sometimes I do decaf, cold brew. Sometimes I do the Drink Your Fat, which you can get the free ebook at drinkyourfat.com. And then what do I do when I get home? My first meal, I usually have it at home, or I'll have something like Taco Deli, which is the best tacos in the world, all local organic ingredients, right? So I'll break my fast with that or at home. And then I'll usually work for a little bit, maybe I'll relax for a little bit, and then I'll have my second meal of the day, probably 5 hours after the first meal, and then I'm done for the day. And as far as simplifying your life, as far as saving time, as far as eating better and being able to better prepare your meals and cook real home-cooked food and staying as close to that as possible, nothing beats intermittent fasting. Nothing beats intermittent fasting. And that's why I fast. So I hope you get some value from this. Let's follow along, see how the day goes.
Lots of it. It happened that a childhood
Always
friend of
audible.
Cohen's, Ronald Azer, had recently taken a
Most
job
people
running the
commute
options department at Grunton.
An hour, sometimes
He
2
was
hours a
looking for
day.
help.
That is
Azer was
wasted
10 years older than
time
Cohen, had an aptitude
if
for
you're
math,
just listening to
and had
music
autonomy to invest the firm's capital
nothing.
however he wanted. On Cohen's
To
first
read
day,
50 books a
Azer
year
pointed at a chair and told
easily
his new hire to sit there,
using
while he figured out
Audible
what exactly he was going to do with it.
on your commute.
Cohen sank down.
I'm here with the one and only Logan Sneed.
What is up?
Logan_Fusion Lean. So Logan, today's video is why I fast. I'm answering that question for me.
Okay.
I want you to answer that for yourself.
Why I fast is because it starves brain cancer. It literally is just giving brain cancer no fuel at all. Okay, so that's my honest number one reason why I fast. But also, I feel more productive. I just know that it's detoxifying my body. It's boosting my immune system. Basically, it can help you live longer.
Well, right, because every time you eat food, you got to process it out.
Yeah, and I'm not saying in calorie range. I'm saying in time. They say, because every time you eat, you're spiking your insulin. Every time you eat, your body's working. You can only, your body can only last so long. You can only have so much strength for so long. And the more you let it rest each day, as time goes by, it's gonna...
Well, and the actual biological reason, when food was abundant for our ancestors, we were more likely to procreate.
Yeah.
Right? It was easier to have babies. It was easier to feed those babies. Right? So the reason that when food is abundant, we typically live shorter lives is because nature thinks we already had a bunch of kids. Right? So when you fast and you calorie restrict at times, the reason there's longevity benefits that because Mother Nature senses that you may not be as successful reproducing, so it gives you more time to reproduce.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of like the evolutionary reason why fasting is good for you, right?
Yeah,
and that's like, those are the benefits. Like I fast because it's so simple. It makes my life simple, cook less, whatever, right? And then I want to live a long time. And so I get the health benefits, the fat loss benefits. If I have a cheat meal, which this guy doesn't cheat, but sometimes I do, I fast afterwards because that kind of gets me back into the mode, and reduces the damage.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're fasting to starve cancer. So you have a very, very specific reason why you're doing that, right? And the thing is, we all get benefits from it.
Oh yeah.
But like the actual reason why is different for everybody.
Plus, one thing it gives you one of the most precious commodities out there, and that's time. People complain.
The only non-renewable resource.
Yeah, real quick, you know the most comical thing I hear? I don't have time to live a healthy lifestyle. Well, just don't eat. Don't eat.
I know,
Problem
right?
solved.
I
Don't
know.
eat.
I know, right? Yeah, it's such nonsense.
So,
All right, well, make sure you follow this guy, Logan_Fusion Lean, and thanks for coming on my YouTube video.
Why do you fast?
That's a good question.
Comment below.
Why haven't you started fasting? Why are you going to start fasting tomorrow?
Need to hear y'all's thoughts.
Okay, headed home. Haven't eaten yet, just had some cold brew. It's about 6 p.m. and I'll probably cook something small or heat up some leftovers, and that'll be breaking the fast. That'll be breakfast.
It's a story we tell. The roots of this phenomenon go much deeper than...
Go. This is how we keep the baby from crying. We dance. Hey, go on.
Hey guys, we're back, 6:30, ready for breakfast. First meal of the day. I got some banana, I'm gonna eat that. I got a cooked sweet potato that's ready to go. I'm gonna probably dice this up and throw it in the taco beef we have. And then this is the way to reheat protein, guys, it's the best way. So you get a nice non-stick pan. This is an all-clad, lifetime warranty, non-stick, super heavy duty. This is like 20 or 30 bucks at Sur La Table, Sur La Table, whatever you want to call it. And I'm gonna basically add the ground beef into here with some butter and salt. And then I'm gonna throw in some of the sweet potato and just cook it down until it's nice and cooked. You're basically kind of like refrying it, recooking it. Best way to preheat leftovers, guys. It's the best way. Then my second favorite thing lately is mushrooms. When you learn how to cook down mushrooms with butter and salt until they get that nice deep flavor, you'll love mushrooms. I used to not like mushrooms as a kid because they would always feel kind of spongy and not have a lot of flavor. But when you can cook these down, so freaking amazing. So what you do is I'll take the stem off. You can actually make a stock with the stems. And then I'm gonna slice these up into medium dice and then cook it down in butter and salt. These, I actually don't usually cook with these because they're kind of big. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to broil them. I'm just gonna try something different. I'm gonna put these in a sheet pan, put them in the broil under 500 degrees, a little bit of oil, salt, and just see what happens. I think they're gonna be good. And then with the greens, I'm gonna just add some oil and salt and pepper. That's it, right on the side. Let's get to it. A lot of cooking, at least for home cooks, is just heating ingredients in a pan with fat and salt. If you can get that down, if you can put ingredients in a pan with fat and salt until you see color, you'll be amazed what you can accomplish. And I'll give you an example of color. All right, so see that's a mushroom. See that color on that side? That side's not as much color because this was down. Cook it until you got a bunch of color, because color equals flavor. Wow. Some banana. Breakfast is served. Look pretty yummy, actually. Holy shit. Okay, get portobellos, salt and oil, put them in under the broiler, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just watch till you have color, and then it's just delicious. And so this is breakfast. First meal of the day. All home cooked food from great ingredients. Took maybe 15, 20 minutes. No excuses. None. So breakfast is done. It's now 7:25 and I'm going to relax for a little bit and watch maybe The Man in the High Castle, and then I'm gonna get to work, my second work session of the day, 3 to 4 hours typically, and then I'll watch some YouTube, read, maybe do a few push-ups, and then get to bed somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m., just depending on multiple things. But whether or not I eat another meal actually is yet to be determined. I'm not really thinking I want another meal, but again, I just ate, so it's hard to really tell what my hunger's gonna be like. But that's the beautiful thing about fasting is if I had to skip my next meal or if I wanted to, it'd be so much easier to do because I don't have the hunger monster that's constantly nipping away at me, thinking eat this, eat that, snack, whatever, right? And so that's another big reason why I fast is because I don't have the urge to snack and I don't have hunger pangs that distract me from my work. So I guess we'll see what happens a little bit later. Some people like to eat earlier in the day. I tend to eat later in the day, and that works for me. That's, whatever works for you is fine. It just really comes down to how you compress your feeding window and how long you have during your fasting window. And so because I aim to do about a 16-8 every day, 16 hours of fasting by 8 hours of feeding, I try to keep my feeding window somewhere between like 5 and 8 hours. Usually I'll keep it probably closer to 6 actually. And so I get a little bit more fasting during the fasted period moving on to the next day. So stay tuned and let's see what I decide to do, whether I eat a meal or not. Okay, I decided to do meal number 2. Let's take these out. And so I made a quick omelet. So that's a 4-egg omelet. Got some apples in there, shallots, some cabbage I sauteed up first. And that's gonna be my second meal. It's 10:16. My first meal was about 7:30. Super simple, guys. Look at that. Super simple. Very good. Hot. And so that is a full day of fasting and eating. And that's also why I fast, because it keeps my life simple. It saves me a ton of time, which is, like Logan mentioned earlier, people talk about how they don't have time to be healthy or whatever. It's like, well, just don't eat, right? Even if you go to a restaurant, even if you grab something quick at the store, even if you grab a bag out of the pantry, that is all time that you wouldn't have spent if you were fasting. So fasting can simplify your life a lot, can make it easier to eat healthy, to not eat out, to not snack, to not do all those things that are not good for your biology. And it just makes life so much simpler. And then once you get your appetite in control, you never say, I'm so hungry. Oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, I'm lightheaded. Oh, this. That comes out of the mouth of people that are a slave to their food because they don't have their biology under control. Their biology is controlling them through their environment, through the poor food choices they're making. And fasting just basically makes everything better. There's also benefits of longevity, improve insulin sensitivity, improve overall health. You can actually build muscle with it. It increases GH production for guys that want to get big, hormone production. It just literally does everything. If you want to learn more about it, I highly recommend spending some time doing some research. But in general, if you just compress your meals into a short period of time and then you don't eat until the next day and keep that same time period, you're going to get benefits from fasting. That is called intermittent fasting. Sure, and some days you might want to do a longer fast, like a 24-hour fast or even a 2-day fast. Again, stuff like that, consult your doctor. Standard doctor disclaimer, blah, 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 don't do without, blah, blah. Well, the reality is most people will be just fine if they went without food. Okay, so that's why I fast. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got use out of it. And I hope you start your fasting routine starting tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. I got a free offer for you. So go to drinkyourfat.com and get the free ebook, the hashtag #DrinkYourFat system. Find out why I drink my fat in the mornings, why I don't eat breakfast, and how I'm using the power of intermittent fasting to stay lean, stay healthy, stay fit, control my appetite, and literally go all day without food if I want to, right? So if you're a slave to your food, as most people are, if you've been told that you're supposed to eat 5, 6, 7 meals a day to stoke your metabolism, I'm gonna teach you why that is all nonsense, and I'm gonna show you the simplest, most efficient way to actually control your appetite so that if you wanna lose weight, you can eat less calories, or if you just wanna be healthy in general, you can balance out your hormones by controlling the times of when you eat, right? And we use the Drink Your Fat in the morning to set our day up for success. Okay, so again, go to drinkyourfat.com and download the free ebook.